Psychonauts was a game that didn't get its due upon release. Another unconventional title from Tim Schafer, Psychonauts was a platformer featuring creative psychic powers, vibrant worlds with plenty of variety, all tied together with an engaging and genuinely funny plot with excellent voice acting. If it hadn't found a second life in digital distribution in the last decade, Psychonauts likely would have had its huge cliffhanger left unresolved and fans disappointed. Fortunately, Double Fine got the due they deserved, and after a successful crowdfunding campaign in the early weeks of 2016, Psychonauts 2 finally began development. The release is still a few years away, but bridging the gap between the original and the sequel comes the PlayStation VR exclusive, Psychonauts in the Rhombus of Ruin. If you aren't familiar with Psychonauts, the character designs may seem off-putting. No two characters look alike, in fact, few are even vaguely similar. Each one is very distinct in both their looks and their personality. Tim Schafer and Double Fine not only excel in creating a diverse cast, but a very memorable and likable one as well. While most of Rhombus of Ruin takes place in the largely same area, there's plenty of variety in locales and minds of characters that you'll find yourself passing through. While I can't say for sure, it seems like the majority of the game is using the same models from the original, or at the very least, touched up versions of them. That's not a bad thing because of how unique the art style is. Everything works exceptionally well. The music sets a nice level of mystery and ambiance while exploring your surroundings in Psychonauts. Music plays a big part of the plot in Rhombus of Ruin, and all the background melodies you'll hear are as distinct as the characters themselves. The voice acting, on the other hand, is a bit mixed. The performances themselves are great, just as good as the original in fact. The dialogue isn't quite as sharp this time around, but it's great to hear the original cast make references to the first game. The problem is that Rhombus of Ruin is a very different title than its predecessor, and you'll hear the same handful of lines come from characters repeatedly. That gets old fast, and unfortunately hurts some of the charm both games have. Instead of a platformer, Rhombus of Ruin is an adventure game in every sense. Players will jump from mind to mind of various people and animals to get a new view in place of actually moving. There are multiple powers used to move objects, set things on fire, or shoot blasts of psychic energy. Each one serves as tools to solve puzzles based on the psyche of each of Raz's friends you're trying to help. Since this is an adventure, most puzzles are fairly obtuse and require a bit of thinking, and also just dumb luck of using X with Y. The amount of actual gameplay is minimal, most of which is reserved to looking around while pressing or holding a single button to activate your various powers. Most of the time, you're taking in the view, literally and metaphorically. The issue of characters repeating the same lines can't be overstated enough. Some of these puzzles do require trial and error and simply messing around in the environment that you're currently in. That's fine, but characters feel the need to speak every 15 seconds, give or take. When you're trying to wrap your mind around who you should be looking at or from, or what small objects should be picked up and placed where, hearing the same line becomes grating and, again, loses a big part of what makes Psychonauts so great: its charm. Rhombus of Ruin is also short, almost painfully so. The whole game can be completed in an hour, 2 if you take your time to look around or get hung up on some of the puzzles. There are plenty of little secrets, winks, and nods to discover, yet very little reason to go back and play through the game a second time. And sitting at $20, Rhombus of Ruin is a tough sell for anyone who isn't already a Psychonauts or Tim Schafer fan. But as an in-between game for fans, Psychonauts and the Rhombus of Ruin delivers in a lot of areas that players will enjoy. The plot picks up directly after where the first game left off and does tie up a few loose ends that it ended with, while also ending just as abruptly. And despite the few gripes with the audio, the game works exactly as it should. The controls are responsive and I had no trouble navigating or using the various powers you're given. How much mileage you'll get from Rhombus of Ruin depends largely on your enjoyment of the original. As a VR point-and-click adventure game, Rhombus of Ruin plays extremely well. But past that, Rhombus of Ruin isn't exactly ambitious, and while it is well crafted, there's simply not enough here to bring new fans into the fold. If you meet the requirements of owning a PSVR and enjoyed Psychonauts, then Rhombus of Ruin can be recommended, even if the content included is pretty skimpy.